Welcome, listener. This is the very first episode of Unhinged, a podcast discussing horror in media and the real world. My name is Christopher, but for nickname's sake, you may call me Chris. If you are receiving this episode from a person named Guido, that is also me. Today's topic I will be going over is the most disturbing and controversial video games in mainstream media. Most of these games I have not played except for, I think, one, but my research was thorough, and this is strictly just an opinionated review of all of these games. So any research that I have done wrong or anything information-wise that I have said wrong, I apologize and feel free to correct me. But yeah. I recommend that if you're not pleased with listening to discussion of the following, please be prepared to hear these things or simply pause the episode. Extreme violence, gore, murder, and immorality. If not, then let's begin. Number one on the list, we have Manhunt 2. Manhunt 2 came out on October 29th, 2007, 4 years after the release of the first game. In my opinion, this seemed like the more disturbing game to me, which is why it's first in front of the other game, which is up next, which is the first game. As a player, you control the character of Daniel Lamb, a patient who has just escaped an asylum. He is also an amnesiac, which means that he lacks memory of his past due to either usage of drugs or brain damage and disease. It's not exactly clear which, though. I'm sure if somebody else has actually played the game, I'm not able to access it because it's very limited. I'm pretty sure it's only accessed on PC, the Wii, surprisingly, and a bunch of other things. But he is helped with his escape by his friend Leo Casper, also an asylum escapee. And after the two escape, Leo helps Daniel recover memory of his past while killing anyone who, I guess, is just in his way, but essentially killing the people who are hunting him down, which are members of the antagonist group, the Project. This game has its fair share of controversy, as it was originally suspended from release due to its classification of adults only. Because of its gruesome and extremely violent contents in the US and an outright refusal of release in the UK and Ireland. Obviously, this was going to be really hard for Rockstar and the parent company Take-Two Interactive, which are the creators of the Manhunt franchise, to make a profit off of the game due to adult-only games not making that much profit. Because, I mean, it's different if little Timmy gets some game from his parents and it says rated mature. But if it says adults only, all of a sudden that's different. Even though I'm pretty sure both means, I guess it just means the same thing as a rated R thing compared to and what's the other one? I think it goes rated R and then I have no idea. But I guess there's a difference. Never mind. But yeah, it adult only games are very hard to make profit off of because of the fact that it's strictly only for adults and probably requires some ID verification. But yeah, the gameplay is indeed very graphic. I watched a few YouTube videos of somebody playing it. I think his name is Some Ordinary Gamers. He's on YouTube. Go check him out. He has a playlist of gameplays of both Manhunt 1 and 2. He's pretty funny as well, so feel free to watch him. But it is very graphic. The main style of the game is stealth and exclusively stealth executions, and when uncensored, is gory and lethal. The game story is decent. It doesn't lack a story at all, to be honest, because Rockstar has never really had an issue with story, in my opinion, despite its online capabilities. But yeah, these guys are pretty good at making up a story. But yeah, it's not some slash and dash simulator. But apparently, that wasn't enough to keep it from an AO rating and a ban in other countries. Um, Due to the controversy, the games company had to put a flashing blur on all of the executions in the game and a removal of the rating system, which would reward style points based on how brutal you were while playing. Brutal. And also, I think how fast you did the mission. And if you did it on a harder difficulty, you would just get a star for playing it, just normally playing it in a harder difficulty. And also, I think that's it. But you would get a total of 5, so I'm not really sure. But yeah. Number 2 on the list is Manhunt, which came out in 2003 on November 19th on the PlayStation 2. This is older than the second one, so the visuals aren't that good, which is why I have it a bit lower. So it's a bit harder for it to be disturbing. It's not like bad visuals, because I mean, it's not the worst. It's not unplayable, but it's also not preferable if you like modern games and don't like older games. But yeah, um, I have this game as um, it's one of the only games in the franchise that are available in the Manhunt franchise out of the two. So it's on the PlayStation 4, but the story's way different. The player controls a character named James Earl Cash, a death row inmate who, instead of being put down by a lethal injection, is only hit with a sedative. After a while, he wakes up to the sound of a voice, the voice of the director. The director is a snuff film director, and if you don't know what a snuff film is, it's a collection of, in real life, it's a collection of real deaths and killings put on film for monetary compensation. Nowadays, people like to assume that it's hard to find them, and I guess so. I mean, I haven't looked for them myself, but I have seen YouTube videos about how a lot of stuff like this is just, there's mock stuff, which is movies with special effects, but they look super real. And then there are real ones, but I would not go look for those. I do not go look for them because, I mean, that's, some of them are illegal. So, yeah. I think, if anything, all of them are illegal. I'm not sure. I would have to check that, but I probably don't want to check that. Anyways, but yeah, killings and deaths put on film for monetary compensation. The director says that he can help Cash gain freedom, but only if he kills a bunch of people put in place to be killed, I assume, along with others hunting him, so that it could be put on a film. Yeah, these killings are recorded on CCTV, which the director uses for his content. And that's essentially the whole story. I'm not going to try and spoil anything during this episode, unless I have to, in order to give context for controversy. But yeah. But this game had some huge controversy, with one of the events being that the game was linked to a murder, the murder of 14-year-old Stefan Pakira. I'm so sorry if I butchered that last name, but he was killed by a friend of Stefan's named Warren LeBlanc, who was 17 at the time. And allegedly, a copy of Manhunt was in the killer's room. So if you put two and two together, everybody thinks that violent video games cause for violent people. And so because the game was supposedly in his room, they thought that that was responsible for his homicidal behavior. This resulted in a $50 million lawsuit, I think it was some court case. I don't know the law technicality or definition, but yeah. It was against Sony Computer Entertainment and Rockstar Games, and there was talks of the game being outright banned. This was later dismissed due to the police department investigating the situation, releasing a statement saying that the motive did not relate to any homicidal behavior similar to the game, but instead was a drug robbery incident, considering the game actually belonging to the victim. It belonged to Stefan. And I'm pretty sure I saw an article where um, Stefan's mom wasn't, he was like concerned, or she was concerned with this game having such an uprising. So, but I mean, yeah, that kind of like cut off the whole court case and everything because it wasn't in the killer's room, it was in the victim's room, which you wouldn't expect, but you never know. But yeah, that's Manhunt. The third game on this list is called Postal. Postal is not a game about you delivering mail and packages to other people's doorsteps, but it is a game and a franchise of many. But this one's not like the rest, as it's the beginning of controversy for the company Running with Scissors. Um, it has an overhead POV, which I have now learned means isometric. Pretty sure top-down view. I'm not really sure, but um, and it's a very eccentric shoot 'em up game. The player controls the character Postal Dude, which references the term going postal, which essentially just means going insane. If you search it up on the internet, it's actually a really interesting term. I didn't know that that term existed at all before I learned about this game. I thought postal was just something in like maybe he was a postal driver, but I don't know. Is that even a thing? I'm gonna search it up. Postal driver? Or is postal just mean crazy? Yeah, mail, postal, yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm not going postal. Um, yeah. So the story starts off with a recently evicted postal dude suspecting that the U.S. Um, Air Force has sent a virus that puts others into a hateful mindset, which allegedly affects everyone around him except for him. That being said, he feels he must shoot through everyone to survive, and he does exactly that. And after every mission comes like text readings, which are like these little title cards that explain his thoughts and his feelings, and the background of it is like this really creepy, gory texture. I don't know. Yeah, it's supposed to be like his thoughts along with some story pieces, but yeah, it's supposed to the hateful mindset thing's supposed to be like not like a virus, but more of a plague. I guess a virus. I'm not sure. I don't have this game, but supposedly the main goal is to clear out hostiles, which is killing everybody in the game that's attacking him. Although you are perfectly capable and allowed to kill innocent civilians as well. Um, the controversy begins, and spoiler alert for those who go postal quite often and would like to try this game out on the last mission. Postal Dude's last objective is to clear out an elementary school. Fortunately, this is where Postal Dude isn't able to do anything to do any harm with his bullets and afterwards breaks down. Now you may be thinking, well, how is this controversial if kids don't end up getting killed? My answer to that is that journalists didn't take the time to actually research or play the game and just assumed from word of mouth that the kids were actually able to be killed. And so all these news articles said that you were able to shoot up an elementary school in this game when you weren't, because why would a game development team want to put that in the game? That doesn't make any sense, right? That's messed up, especially in a game like this where you're able to kill anybody. The line would be at kids, because that's bad. Killing in general is bad and it's horrible, but kids is where it gets bad because they just started. Anyways, stop my rant there. But yeah, because of all this outcry that the ending caused, along with actual elementary schools existing later on, Postal Redux was made in 2016, which is essentially the same game, except there was an eerie grave or funeral scene in replacement of the elementary school situation. The last thing on the list is Hatred. Hatred is essentially just like Postal, from the isometric point of view to the literal references of the game in the game, but it kicks the violence up a notch by a lot. The game Hatred's protagonist is named Antagonist, and looks like what your edgy death metal rock fan neighbor thinks he looks like, but no, he's just some like buff trench coat wearing black long haired dude. Anyways, this game didn't garner a lot of controversy despite its adult only rating and bad reviews, but it did get a short removal from release or green light on a popular PC game publishing site called Steam, PC Personal Computer. But yeah, it shortly came back and even came back with an apology. Antagonist's only goal is to literally kill everyone because he hates everyone. He kills cops, civilians, etc. This one doesn't have an elementary school in it, but it pushes you to kill civilians. Compared to Postal, I don't think you needed to, but you could. And that was what was worrying a lot of people. But I haven't played this, nor will I, considering that the dialogue writer for the antagonist of the game revolves around a pro-genocide rock band that praises Satan and also has links to anti-Semitism. I'm not even joking. But yeah, that game is something else. I saw a YouTube video with a review of the game. It's got good graphics compared to Postal, which was made in 1997. And so, I mean, anything in the 90s, if it was a video game, it wasn't high quality. It was high quality for the time. Like, each of these games were high quality for their time. And so that's why like, if you were to play some of these games, they wouldn't seem so bad now. But if you were to play them, and like, if you were to play Manhunt in 2003, you'd think the world is ending. Probably not, but yeah. It's just something else. This is the only this I don't know if I said it already, but Hatred was made in 2015, which was a while ago, but not too long ago. So the graphics were pretty good. And so with that being said, you know, it was definitely gruesome for people to play. And a lot of people don't play it because it's not really heard of, but it is what your typical let's blame this game for other people's uh, issues, which I would probably agree with if they play this game and then go out and do something crazy, because this game is literally crazy. Like, yeah. Anyways, all these games are very disturbing, and if you don't like disturbing games, I don't blame you. I do not blame you. I I only have Manhunt because I wanted to find a decent horror game. None of these are really horror games necessarily, but they are disturbing and they do have horrifying topics. And so I was just looking for something that would be different. And it is very different. But yeah, I guess that's it. This was a very short episode. I think, I don't know, I've been talking for quite a minute, but I think it's coming on 20 minutes by now. But yeah, this concludes today's episode of Unhinged. There are a lot more episodes to come. I have plenty of things in store right now. What else do I have? We're going to be going over some icebergs, which, if you do not know what an iceberg is on the internet, is essentially a topic. It usually has some creepy background story to it, but it's just a topic that on the top of the iceberg, completely innocent, usually, and fine. And at the bottom, or I guess the more you go down, the more creepy something gets, or the more disturbing, or the more in depth. Some of you may have seen, if you are in like the internet constantly, but you may have seen the most disturbing movie iceberg. I've listened to a podcast with not with, but a YouTuber named Wendigoon. Oh, sorry, a YouTuber named Wendigoon. Um, I guess it wasn't a podcast. It was a YouTube video. I don't even know if I said podcast. I'm hearing things. Never mind. I watched a YouTube video from a YouTuber named Wendigoon. He went over the most disturbing movie iceberg, and it was pretty bad. Not in terms of quality, but in terms of like it was really disturbing. Some of the topics that even he didn't want to go over. So I think he had somebody else going over it, but like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, out of all 8 tiers, 8 being the worst and tier 1 being decent, he didn't even go over tier 1. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre was only in tier 2. Let's see what else. I'm going to search it up because I'm really interested to tell you all about this. Do not watch these movies that I will be going over. But yeah, like Terrifier, if y'all have seen that movie, it has nothing on these movies because some of these are real. Like I think there is a snuff film in this. This one's edited. I'm gonna check it out right now. Let's see. Yeah, but I think this is essentially the same thing. So, like in the second category, I guess we'll go over the third because there's some known things. If you guys have seen, Terrifier is in this edited edited version of the disturbing movie Iceberg. It's only in the third tier. In my opinion, it was not that good. It kind of sucked. I'm gonna be honest, but it's in tier 3 out of tier 8. And if y'all think that the one movie Terrifier, oh my goodness, people puked in the movie theater. Wait till you see these. I hope you don't see these, but yeah, some of the titles are. I'm not gonna go over these because some of these are really disgusting to say. Let's see. There's some Mondo films, which if you don't know what those are essentially just exploitation films. They're kind of like really disturbing documentaries, like not Discovery Channel disturbing where you get to see a lion eat something, but disturbing as in disturbing. There is Eccentric Psycho Cinema. Tumbling Doll of Flesh, and Snuff 102. Now, I'm pretty sure Snuff 102 is not real, along with whatever I just said. These are all handmade movies. I don't think anything serious happens in them. I'm not really sure, and I'm not going to go into it because I don't feel like going into it. And these are very odd. But anyways, yeah, some crazy stuff out there. I might be going over some of these, but I will be very brief compared to like Wendigoon and all these other horror and creepy YouTubers, not creepy themselves, but like topic YouTubers, because I'm not old enough to talk about these, and to be honest, I don't even think I'd want to talk about these whenever I am. These are creepy. But yeah, I will be going over some. I just have to find the right ones. We'll probably lean on to more of like a, I guess, morality concept on some of these. I might go over more mainstream horror movies, if anything, because I know people like to search for, oh, what's the scariest? What's the scariest disturbing horror movie out there? And then somebody says The Exorcism, The Exorcist. Yeah, The Exorcist, and that's nothing. I want to go over the movie The House That Jack Built, along with August Underground, which is this movie in the eyes of like some serial killer. Both of them are, just because those are creepier, in my opinion, whenever you're watching somebody do something, compared to watching somebody have something happen to them, are two completely different things and two completely different experiences whenever you're watching. What else? Martyrs. I have tried to watch Martyrs, and I will try again. And yeah. Well, I might check those out. It might just be a separate podcast for each of them. It might have three of them. We might be going over one each. I'm not sure, but yeah. I'm hoping that this podcast won't just be media. It will also be other things like true crime. Like if I had this podcast back when I think there was this guy on the news. There was like some Sacramento serial killer in California. Um, he was around, and he was, I guess, a legit serial killer. So had he gone on, that would have been an interesting topic. But I think he was caught. I hope so, at least. I will also be going over Hostel. Oh my God, I've seen all three of those. Those are essentially like kind of like Saw, except that like these guys are guys, girls. I think it just depends on which movie. But these people are getting killed, not killed, but they're being essentially put on their death sentence. They get kidnapped or lured into something by these girls. You're gonna have a night out with these girls, and they thought that they were gonna have fun, and then they don't, and then they get put into some like system where all these rich people are able to torture these guys and kill them however they like, and so these people have to try and find a way out. And so that's kind of like the Saw gist. It's that I have to escape death, I guess, type of topic. But this one's a bit different because Saw was that these guys all did something bad. I assume that's what some of the Saw movies were trying to go for. And so they had to try and escape themselves from traps. But in the Hostel movie, they're just stuck and they are about to get killed by these rich people who are in an elite hunting club where they hunt humans. And so these guys have to try and escape. And some of them are unsuccessful. Some of them don't even have that thought in their mind. But yeah, whole lot of stuff we're going to go over. Anyways, true crime, media, like movies. We might go over YouTube horror. There's some stuff out called analog horror. Whole lot of stuff. Music. There's a lot of creepy music out there, and it's mainly rock bands. I don't know how deep I'm gonna go in with that because some of them are really creepy. I can't even go as far as to look at the album covers. But yeah, hope this was an interesting episode for y'all to listen for. Sorry that I was supposed to end this 10 minutes ago, and all of a sudden we've been talking for 10 minutes. But yeah, um, feel free to share this with whatever friends and family would even want to hear things about this. Um, I had a good time doing all the writing and preparation for this. I did have a whole script set up, which is what I was reading from sometimes. So if you heard me sounding like I was foaming from the mouth or couldn't say a word, it was because I was trying to read while think at the same time, and that didn't do very good. But I hope I did good, and I hope I was intelligible, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode because I worked really hard to make sure that it was enjoyable. Yeah, stay tuned for next time. See y'all later.